Coming to you from the Eon Project Studios, nestled in the hills of Harrisville, Rhode Island, the epicenter of paranormal activity in the Blackstone Valley. You're listening to Experts of Nothing with Mike and Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Oh, hey, Mike.
How you doing?
Good. How are you? How are things?
Oh, I've seen just about enough of you as I can take lately.
Yeah, it's been, we spent some quality time with one another recently.
We did. We went on a trip.
We did go on a trip.
We went on a boys' trip.
Boys back, baby.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, but before we get into
Yes.
it, you just mentioned Harrisville, Rhode Island.
I did.
And we had been talking about this maybe a week or so ago. Do you remember the article that I had sent you about there's an event coming up at the Conjuring House.
The Conjuring House.
Where you can go and spend an epic, fun-filled, fright-filled night.
What is the Conjuring House, Michael?
The Conjuring House is the supposed epicenter of paranormal activity in the Blackstone Valley.
Yes.
Where, if you're familiar with the Conjuring movies, this supposedly took place. But the movie was filmed in North Carolina. It has nothing to do with Rhode Island. But it was based on some supposedly true events that happened in Rhode Island. And the home itself is just a stone's throw from this very spot.
Stone's throw. We could drive there now. Do you want to?
No.
Okay.
We're doing a show right now.
Oh, all right.
But we could drive after. But anyway, you can spend the night with some experienced ghost hunters there for the low sum of like $300 a person.
That's outrageous.
$300, and it's not like a hotel. Like you're not sleeping. You're like walking around with a flashlight or something.
So, from what I understand, the house is under new ownership.
Yeah. It got yes. And if you look at their website, I don't remember the website off the top of my head, but they own a number of these supposed haunted properties throughout the United States, and this is just another one in their portfolio.
Do you have a portfolio?
I don't know. What is a portfolio?
I don't know. Why don't you tease the topic? Yeah, Mike, tease the topic. Tease it.
We're going to be talking. Well, we're actually having a joint show with the boys from the Black Lodge.
Not the marijuana joints.
No, the Black Lodge, Brent and Cody.
Yes, Cody.
Newest iteration
That is correct.
Of the Black Lodge. I get the name screwed up because when you want to say from the Black Lodge,
yes,
but you just say the Black Lodge, and I think you would probably know both.
You would know both. You would know both.
We're going to be joining with those two fine fellows here in a few moments.
Yes, we're going to be talking some strange shenanigans, esoteric things.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the RANDONAUTICA app.
Yes. Can we manifest things with our mind?
Manifest things, go places, see into people's windows.
That's true.
All sorts of things that you can see and do in the middle of the night.
Hey, speaking of strange things, so I was at a local big box retailer today.
Ooh.
I'm not going to mention any names.
Oh.
It rhymes with Barget.
Okay.
And I'm walking minding my own business because I like to, in those stores, I don't know about you, but I like to get in and get out.
Yeah.
I don't like to peruse around.
No.
I have something in mind, some sort of item or device that I need.
Yep. You go right to it and go right out.
Right to it, right to the self-checkout, boom, out the door, done.
Yes.
So as I'm minding my own business, I'm walking about, and a hefty, sweaty woman was walking next to me, and her phone suddenly rings.
Did she smell bad?
And she picks up the phone, and her immediate reaction was, hey, and then whoever was on the other end said, hey, and she said...
On speakerphone?
No. She was just talking, and then I heard her side of it, and she said, she goes, hey, fatty, do you need any underwear?
Fatty?
Do you need any underwear? Hey, fatty, do you need any underwear? And then she continued on her way.
Wow.
Yes, I thought that was a strange way to get talking on the phone.
Someone was calling her fatty? Or she was calling
somebody fatty? No, she called somebody fatty.
But she was fat.
She was fat, too.
I wonder what that person looked like.
So that means she could get away with it.
Oh. Nope. You know what I can't stand, man? People who have speakerphone or FaceTime conversations in public.
Yes.
This has become more and more of a thing lately, where people are having these long, drawn-out conversations that should not be in public. They should be in private.
You ever seen people do this at work when they're supposed to be working?
No, not really.
Oh, I've seen it happen.
Well, maybe. But no, the wife and I went out for breakfast a few months back, and somebody decided to have a in-depth, long conversation about their recent travels at the restaurant on FaceTime.
Really?
Somebody else like, and then we went down to the store, and then we got some blankets and some pee-pee pads for my bum.
It's so great. When you go to the South, they have the Krogers. You know the
Krogers. They got those nice Krogers.
The Kroger supermarkets.
Yep.
They serve beer and liquor in the supermarkets.
Liquor. You don't even have to leave to get the liquor.
You don't even. You can get sloshed in the meat aisle.
You can get your Newports. You can get your VO.
Get
and
everything you need.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing that in a moment with the boys from the Black Lodge.
We are. So once again, we're kind of getting back to our roots here with the paranormal things. I think the good thing about it is obviously we're going to have several different opinions on the topic today, and I think we have varying thoughts, varying opinions on the subject matter that we're going to be speaking about.
Which you just didn't really describe. You're dancing around.
Well, I like to dance around it. I like to tease it because
when you like to dance when you get drunk. You like to put on a show. You like to
Yes.
cut a rug in front of everyone.
Yeah, I used to be a man of many moves back in the day, but as I get older, I can't move around like I once did.
Well, what I found out is you can do those things. You just pay for it the next day.
That's true.
You wake up and you go, "Oh my God, I'm going to die."
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
What was my signature moves back in the day? Do you remember?
Well, you would take a chair out and you would do the chair dancing.
Chair dancing.
You would,
but sometimes you can't always get the chair though.
No, and it wasn't like a striptease chair dance. It was like you would use the chair as an apparatus.
Apparatus.
Like a gymnastics.
Correct. I would do like the pommel horse on the chair. Dance around.
Didn't you jump up and you would try to like land on the chair, like lean it over and
I
land?
would.
Yeah.
I would do that.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Interesting days.
I did it successfully only a couple of times.
I used to take bites out of beer cans. Do you remember that? I would take a bite out of the beer can and actually take the aluminum out with my teeth.
Yes, I also recall you giving a young, attractive lady a jugular notch move one time. And
that sounds about right.
Nearly put her down on her knees.
And not in the good way.
Not in a good way.
Anyway.
All right, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to bring the boys on here.
Yep.
And we just need to do a little bit of renagling. Renagling?
Renaggle. That's not a word.
Finagling.
What's a renaggle?
It's a cross between finagle and renagle.
Okay. What's a renagle? I think you're making things up as we go.
I knew a girl named Renagle once.
Oh, was she good
and
looking?
she had big lips and skinny thighs.
She was thick-limbed.
Correct. All right, stand by. So, Mike, I think what we're going to do is we're going to bring on the boys from the Black Lodge.
Yes, I see them on the giant monitor here.
Oh, yes. They've popped up on the screen. I can see
are.
three
handsome
very
devils.
handsome.
Well, hello there.
Yes. Oh, hello. Who are you, sir? I see a very
Cody.
large facial hair going on.
We got Brent, Cody, and Russell today.
Yes.
From the Black Lodge.
You guys are cranking in my headphones, which I love because it's like the voice of God speaking.
It is.
The voice of God.
Yes.
Well, anyway, so we have a joint session of Congress today.
That is correct. We have a joint session. We're working through this. And, obviously there's some technical and technological barriers that we all have to overcome here. But
I have many things to overcome.
we're going to make this work. We're going to make it work. I know I'm recording video on my end. Brent, are you recording on your end as well, sir?
We will be in uno momento.
All right, good. I'm glad that you're
Here we
prepared
go.
for this.
We are. I just
Per
had,
usual.
I had to turn the camera on, man. We're good now.
Well, you could have done that several hours ago.
hey,
But here we
man,
go.
it was technical. All right, go ahead.
All right. Well, they're probably tired of hearing us talk. So why don't we let the boys from the Black Lodge take it away for a minute? Why don't you guys talk about what we're going to discuss today?
Brandon,
Sure,
we
go for
we kind of introed a little bit, discussed the fact that Randonautica is kind of a trippy thing. So I don't know how you guys pitched your intro, but on ours we kind of just didn't really talk a lot about specifically what the app was, but really mainly mentioned that there's just no shortage of fake ass videos on the internet. So we're a little compelled. And by the way, for us guys, we're PG-13 audience here tonight. So typically, if you've
Maybe
go,
maybe it would be good. Maybe it would be good if we talk a little bit about what Randonautica is for those who are tuning in that don't know.
we had just done
You want to do
well.
that, Brent,
We had
or-
just done a podcast, two
okay.
episodes on it. So hopefully our viewers are up to speed on it. But briefly, it's a app that you can download. You're supposed to be able to do some minor inputting and have an intention in your mind during that process. Once you complete the few questions that are asked, it generates a GPS point, and you can go to that GPS point, and it's said that whatever your intention should be manifested there to some degree, right? Does that seem fair enough?
That's interesting.
Right. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go on and on and on about it, but what do you guys think? I mean, does that seem like the best explanation for it?
All right, so let me just back up a second as far as the
Randonautica
is concerned, because I myself had never heard of this nonsense malarkey, and I'm calling it that because that's what I felt when you first mentioned it to me.
You think everything
Right.
is malarkey?
So
though.
let me.
That's the thing.
So a couple weeks, Mike and I talked briefly about a trip that we went on recently, and that trip in and of itself is interesting. However,
yes.
We went out to
which one was this?
We're going out. We went out to the Great Midwest,
yes.
Where you folks are located.
Oh, okay. We talked about that. Our audience knows prior to this that you guys were just out here.
Yeah,
so go. You can.
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
we were out there for business/pleasure.
Mostly pleasure.
Yes,
Pleasure.
and we got some business done, but we had some pleasure as well. And one of the things we talked about in a very heated yet infused session, if you will, is we talked about this.
Oddly, hey, real quick,
Yeah.
we just referenced this on our cold intro, so go.
Oh,
It's great. You're corroborating everything, unbeknownst to you.
We talked about this Randonautica phenomenon, which I had never heard of before, previous to that conversation. And of course, I thought it was complete nonsense because I had never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it, and of course, we had discussions about it and things of that sort. And you guys have some experience with it, and I myself, in preparation for this show, also went ahead and initiated this thing. But I don't want to talk about that right now.
Yeah. I told Cody that happened, and he's pretty excited.
I am.
Actually, I did one as well,
you did?
unbeknownst to any of you.
Oh, good.
So I did my own.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Nice.
So, Brent, once again, why don't you talk a little bit about where you heard about this and what from your perspective, what your experience is with this and what you guys have to say about it.
Well, so initially, what we fell into it based on that case that happened in Seattle, where Randonautica was used, and individuals found 2 dead bodies cut up inside a suitcase.
Yeah,
that's pretty common, right? Like everybody's heard that. Are you familiar with that, guys?
Yes.
So that piqued my interest, and then it started to get. I was a little weirded out by it. We decided we would kind of talk about the app and maybe come up with a cool way to, because I kind of deep dived into some of the other videos, and once you start getting into them, they're entertaining. Mike, you've shared some with me, right? Like, they're very
I'm sorry to step on you, but basically this is not a new thing. This is something that happened. This site came out a couple of years ago, and it didn't catch on.
2018.
Yeah, a few years ago, and it didn't catch on right away. It's just kind of a. And actually, I listened to. I'm not sure if any of you caught it. The founder of it gave a podcast.
You sent me that not long ago.
Yeah, and he explained how the whole thing started. Maybe would you want me to get into that just a little bit, just at the outset?
Yeah, give a little background.
Yeah, so basically,
yeah, absolutely.
So this guy, and his name escapes me. It's not important. I'm sure it's important to him, but it's not important to us. But he created this a way to get people outside to go, exploring. And he initially and his group started this website, it wasn't designed to do anything esoteric in his own words. He wasn't trying to do anything spiritual. He wasn't trying to do anything that would result in anything creepy or weird or death related. He just wanted people to go exploring, and he thought the best way to do that in order to get people to go places that they wouldn't normally go, he used a quantum computer down in Australia, and the quantum computer, basically, when you access the app, the computer selects randomly, true randomly, a coordinate that supposedly cannot be altered, by machine. Supposedly, according to him, again, you have to take everything with a grain of salt when people tell you things. But according to him, it's not like it's not a predetermined list. This is just complete randomness. So you go on there, you click the button, it generates a compass point, or excuse me, a map point for you to go to, and he wanted you to go exploring. What happened soon thereafter, as people tend to do, people started using it for other things, and like you said, it resulted in some pretty out there things that have happened as a result of people using this app. So.
Some of which I tend to think are maybe real too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know where to. The problem I feel like we have, and sort of the reason why we want to explore this a little bit. We briefed our audience earlier that you guys were involved in helping us kind of dive this a little bit, document the phenomenon, see if it's anything. Which I tend to think it's probably not, but it's just weird that I think a lot of people don't realize what they're intending. Like you and Cody did it, and what was the first freaking thing you put in for the intention? Because I guess audience, you should understand you have to put in an intention word, right? Like at the very I've not used the app personally.
The word.
Well, you don't put it in anything.
No,
it's in your mind.
You don't type it in. Yeah, you just manifest it,
Right.
so it's in your mind.
So that couldn't that at the end of the day be anything your mind interprets to be once you get there?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
But
Okay.
what was weird is when I did it, it showed up to the funeral home a few blocks from your house, and it was just kind of weird because it was like I thought of death, and boom.
Yeah.
You know.
What I don't understand very well yet, and like I said, I personally haven't utilized the app. Cody, I know, has utilized the app. Jay, apparently, you mentioned earlier today, we talked offline that you, in preparation for the show, that you utilized the app.
Yes, I did.
Mike, have you?
Yeah, I did it too. I did it 2 days ago. So,
okay.
But I think it's important to give a little background because, and even people aren't using it the way that it was intended to be used. Was the point that I was trying to make. And even
I agree with you.
And even the founder said he said, basically, when you go to a point, you're not supposed to find something there. You're supposed to chain off of that one point. So basically, you go to one point, and then you hit another point. So now you've randomized 2 points, and
so something at the first point is to point you to the second location.
Yes, and then he said sometimes you can chain up to 10 points before you
Are you supposed to reutilize the app at each point?
Yes, you're supposed to reutilize the app at each point, which a lot of people don't know that.
So are you setting a new intention at each
No,
each
you should
point,
be
or what are
using
you
the
doing?
same intention the whole time.
So when we say intention, can you guys clarify this for me? This is like a very nebulous term.
So
what does that
actually,
mean?
Cody, you're pretty familiar. You want to go with that?
Yeah, so when you're manifesting something, when it tells you to clear your mind and think of it, I went with death. And then I did it a second time, did the same thing, and it ended up in the middle of a cornfield.
So are you
thinking?
So when you say sorry to interrupt you. When you say death and you're manifesting this, like, are you're just thinking of the term, or are you thinking of like levels of death? Like, I don't understand. Like, how does this work?
I would be thinking. Sorry to interrupt, but I would be thinking of a specific death.
Well, like the term, it could be like I could find like a deer carcass or something, something like that. That's
you were
death,
generalizing it, in my opinion, before you even got there. If you would have found a dead cockroach, that would have been sufficient.
That's death.
Was that your intention? Is what I think we're asking, right? Jay, is
yes.
just
I'm
general death?
trying to understand where the term comes from. I'm thinking of death. Like, what does that mean? Is that you're just thinking of something potentially dying, or you're just thinking it in general terms? Like,
it could be anything. It could be, like I said, the dead deer carcass, or it could be where we got to the point where there's an ambulance at a house, someone's dying.
Right.
It could be anything.
So to answer your question, when you're manifesting, you're thinking of there's no rule book. So basically, you think if you set out with the intention of finding something related to X,
right?
That's what
I think it's pretty vague.
Yeah. You're not saying $50 bill. And then you go and find a $50 bill.
I guess my point is, and Cody, you keep saying, oh, well, you may find this, you may find that. I'm talking about like even before that, right? So you're just, in general terms, you're thinking of the term death, and you're thinking what things that relate to death, right? So then when you get to wherever it is that you're going, if you see a dead emu on the side of the road, that may correlate to what you're thinking about, right?
It could be, yeah. It could be in the genre
of
the whole thing.
Gotcha.
So.
I gotcha.
Well, I think that's where we want to explore deeper with this, more poignant or more specific intentions. So, like, I do want to find a $50 bill. Who doesn't? You know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm going to go look for a $50 bill.
$50 bill.
$50 bill.
That was $20. Was that $50 bill? Was that Short Round that said that?
It was Short Round.
It was Short Round, absolutely.
You look like Short Round. I think he had that same hat, Brent.
Yeah, he did.
That you
He did. Yeah, he definitely did.
But he was Asian, so he can't grow a mustache.
What was it? What's her name? Kate what? Oh, God.
Kate Capshaw was banging back in the day.
Anyway. Steven Spielberg was
he still is, I think.
You guys are conflating two movies.
No.
You're talking about...
No, she's in...
You're talking about Temple of Doom, and I was talking about Goonies, when they hit the printing press, and the dollar bill...
But it was the same actor, though.
It was the same actor.
That's why.
It was the same
yeah,
actor.
you're right, Jay. Thank you. Good call.
Anyway.
But all right.
So where were we going? So we're talking about Randonautica. We're talking about somebody...
Yeah.
Maybe the best thing to do would be explain how because Brent, here's a perspective. You haven't used the app.
Yes.
So how did you research the topic? Did you just watch other people doing it? Is that unlike YouTube?
I watched other people doing it. I read background information on the founders, developers. I watched probably conspiracy theory crap that's 100% not accurate. But, right away, based on my faith background, I kind of went to a divination or witchcrafty Ouija board type interaction with this app, and I found it interesting because then I thought, okay, well, let me explore that. And Randonautica, there is in there frequently asked questions. Does this use of this app interfere with or conflict with my religious beliefs? They answered the question, and oddly, it was vague, but kind of indicated that it might. You know what I mean? So that made me skeptical of wanting to particularly interact with it because, as you guys know, I'm a space case, and I believe in the supernatural, and I believe in the otherworldly or metaphysical enough to where I'm not quite sure I want to mess with that door yet until I understand it a little better.
Well, but here's an interesting question. So a lot of people probably have the same reaction that you do whenever anyone hears about something that's out there or unexplained, because even the people that created this app don't know how it works. They're open about that. They don't know, so they'll say, "Yeah, we this computer selects these points, but we don't know how, and we don't have any influence on it." So even from their perspective, they're not sure either, which is kind of scary in and of itself. Which makes you start thinking of technology, and people think anything related to the paranormal or to witchcraft, like you said, or anything like that. They think of the old timey methods of doing so, but this is using technology from now,
right?
And
so,
right.
I mean, we'll divulge that you and I specifically have discussed this prior, but one of the things I find interesting is the correlation between the way Randonautica produces a outcome and the old technique of scrying,
right?
I think there's a lot of reading the bones, and
right.
There's a lot of things in folklore that involve the individual interpreting the signs to what would you say, put into it an intention or a feeling?
Well, I feel like the difference might be that in those methods they're searching for information, or they're searching for the future or something like that, whereas Randonautica is just giving you a place to go, right? And then it's up to you to determine if where you're going is significant or not.
I think it's probably going to be less significant than significant, right?
Well, I mean, and this is kind of going off the topic, but this is probably the place to do it.
Yeah.
So, and I know we discussed this, but I don't think we talked about it with anybody else. So basically, a lot of people, it's very popular now to. Are you okay there, Jay?
What are you talking about?
It sounds like he's having a heart attack.
Does he get
over there.
No, you know how he gets the
heaves.
He gets the heaves.
He gets the heaves all the
he's
time.
like
I have gastrointestinal distress.
Anyway, so some people think that
Cody shits himself. Oh, I can't say that word.
It's okay. Some people think that we're living in a simulation, a computer-generated simulation, and that Randonautica and apps like it, because there is more than that now. There's copycat apps that are kind of.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's like 50 of them that have kind of popped up doing the same thing. But
oh wow!
So Randonautica is the major one. But if we're living in a simulation, this is a way to show that you're living in a simulation by going to a completely random spot and then something occurs. Mm-hmm. The point being that you go to these places that you wouldn't normally go, that no one would normally go. It's like you said, in the middle of nowhere.
Let me query Russell here real quick, because I know he and I have talked about the Matrix before and that whole simulation thing. I mean, give me your opinion on that, because okay, Mike, I see what you're getting at.
This is the Matrix?
Well, yeah. I mean, if this was a computer simulation, if that was what we existed in,
I don't.
Are we interacting with the mainframe by messing with?
I think Brent called Russell queer. I think that's what I heard. But anyway,
I didn't say that. I didn't say queer.
That's rude.
That's okay.
I heard it.
Anyway,
but I mean, what do you think, man? I mean, we talked about so while you guys were out here, you actually picked up a really interesting book. Do you remember that, Jay? The Case for the UFO by Jessup. It has to do with the Philadelphia experiment.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
that's just a little minor part of the whole book, but yeah.
But yes, it's a very minor part. But in that, there's a lot of discussion about that, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
So here's a question for you, and sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah.
This is the bigger question. If we are, let's just say, obviously we're delving a little bit away from Randonautica here for a second, but
yeah, but I think it does tie in.
Yeah, if we are living in a simulation, let's say we are. Let's say this is like
Sure.
a Matrix type situation here that we're living in. Would we really know, right? Like, how do we understand that? How do we become self-aware that we're actually living in this simulation?
Let me answer
Well,
that
I can
for
tell
you.
you-
Go ahead, Brent.
Well, I can say from having 3 ex-wives, that clearly,
You're
if I was
definitely
a
living in some sort of bizarre
If
simulation.
I was a computer program, you would think if those were all viruses, I would have corrected that. But you know what I'm saying. No, Mike, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so to answer that question, this is completely related to Randonautica, because essentially what you're doing is by going to, the Matrix theory being we live in a computer simulation.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are NPCs. You're familiar with that term, non-playable characters.
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't think there was anything to it until I started looking around at people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's NPCs out there, man. There's people who have no thoughts going through their mind.
No thoughts.
They're just going
Gary?
through life, and by if we're living in a simulation, you're going along a path. You're going along a path that you're supposed to go on. You go to work every day. If you looked at everyone's activities on a GPS, if you wore a GPS for a month, how many different places do you think you go?
Oh God, I don't go anywhere except for work.
You go to work, you go home, and you go to the store.
You go to Brent's.
And you go to Brent's.
You take a crap on his toilet, and that's about it.
A very limited space.
Most people,
That's
I'd say 95% of the time, you're going to the same places over and over and over again. By using Randonautica, you're going to a completely random place that you've never been, thusly exposing the Matrix.
So here's a question for you. So using that explanation, if we apply that to reality for a second, would we even be talking about this though?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because we're self-aware. Like, okay, well,
I would think the program would shut us down.
Exactly. Oh, they can't be talking about this. Click.
Or maybe we're just
And
so
then
far away
they,
from
they,
it.
erase, they erase your hard drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the government, man.
If there's a they can always toy and torture and do whatever the fuck they want. Or sorry,
That's okay.
Whatever they
We
want.
can edit that.
That's fine. I erase my hard drive every day when I.
You close your browser history.
Yes.
But no, it's an interesting theory to think about, and that's how I tie it in with Randonautica, meaning that you're glitching the Matrix on purpose. You're going someplace. Have any of you experienced a glitch in the Matrix? Because I have.
All the time,
Yeah.
man. Like just the other day. But what is the difference between a glitch in a Matrix and what some screenwriter wrote to explain the glitch in the Matrix? I mean, that whole deja vu thing, that was creative writing, in my opinion. How do we know deja vu is what the glitch in the Matrix is? But that's what everybody says.
Right.
Because I did it just the other day. I had deja vu, and I was like, oh, glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Isn't it
that's
wild
because-
though? Like the deja vu experience
Deja vu is wild,
in
yeah.
and of itself is just a completely
Yes, it's very odd.
It stops you kind of in your tracks, and you're like, my gosh, I've kind of experienced this.
But I've
before,
actually
right?
had a glitch that you can't that wasn't deja vu. That was like an actual thing. Can I share
Okay,
it with you?
share, yes,
Okay,
please.
so this
'cause
happened
that
to me.
I don't know.
This happened to me a couple years ago, and I don't think I've shared it with anybody. So I was going.
I'm going to fold my mind here.
Fold your mind. I was going.
I said my mind's going to fold.
I was going down. I was in Southern Rhode Island. I was going driving around for work. I drive around for work a lot, and I pulled into a gas station, and it was like a divided highway where there's like a median that you can't cross. It's like a fenced in median, and it was a very busy 2-lane road. I was on the opposite side. I was on the side of the road with the gas station. Across the highway, I saw a man walking in a direction. He was walking left to right on your TV screen. So he's walking left to right. I didn't really notice him other than I noticed that there was a guy there. I pull in. I get gas. I'm pulling out. The same guy was walking the same direction in the same exact place as when I pulled in 5 minutes before. The only explanation for that would be that because there was no businesses over there. It was a wooded area. The only explanation was he turned around, walked 5 minutes back in the other direction, and then turned around right when I was leaving. He glitched. It was the same guy.
Well, he dropped his wallet. He
No.
dropped his wallet
For 5 minutes?
and he was going to find it. That's what he did.
No.
Or
So
his
is
nip.
was it a glitch or did you have a time lapse?
I didn't get it because I got gas. I purchased gas and I was leaving. So yeah.
Interestingly, a podcast that the three of us have discussed at length prior to this, a guy gives a description. Did you get to the point in his podcast where he discussed time slippage?
I mean, I know I'm pretty familiar with time slippage, but usually related to UFOs and junk like that.
Yeah, this was not in it all in that vein, but I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Anyway,
to be
the reason
that's weird,
the
man.
reason
That's
I mention
creepy.
it is because stuff happens. Weird stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
So I bring it up in relation to Randonautica because it's challenging the Matrix theory basically. So Brent, maybe because you've done a lot of research and I know you guys have done it in your own. Do you want to step into maybe our personal experiences? So Cody, you talked about your intention was death. You went to a funeral home and then to a cornfield. Was there anything else besides? Was there anything about those two areas that you went to that spoke to you in that vein of the intention that you had?
Well, the funeral home we actually never went to. We waited till we were done with the prior activities we were doing, and then we went to the woods and we had a band.
What Cody didn't tell you is that he downloaded the app without telling any of us,
Yeah, I
and
did.
basically
I
used
did.
it before we did anything, like had any cameras rolling or anything. He's basically like a child sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He seems like a big man-child,
Yes,
if you will.
but we love him. But he did. What was odd is another individual with us at the time, Eric, who you've met. He downloaded the app, used it, and we went to a point that he manifested, or whatever you want to say. Took us to an open house. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
That was bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the lights were on at the open house. It was like 10 o'clock at night, but it was.
What was his intention though?
I can't remember what we at. I don't think he even
he
said.
said, "I'm looking for
for
cheap
a
real
reasonable
estate
renting."
Yeah,
I'm looking
some
for a
real
good
estate.
deal. Looking for a good deal.
And suddenly he was at an open house
Yeah,
with a very nubile, young real
yes.
estate agent.
Oh, gosh.
And then he took her in the back bedroom of the house and had his way with her.
Nubile. Hey, you know
She
what?
was waiting.
Yes.
Have
Yes.
Yes.
If you were a woman,
Yes.
which you kind of
I'm-
are,
I'm
but
close.
If you were a woman, would you be a real estate agent? That seems like a dangerous thing. It's
very
You're
dangerous.
meeting these people in the
I
house.
think the
It's
real
happened.
estate agents like that, though.
They've been killed.
Oh,
though.
my God. They've been killed, haven't they?
They have,
been
yeah.
killed.
Goodness gracious!
I've never killed anyone,
Not that we know of.
but I look at open houses all the time to see what kind of ladies are there.
You do
Anyway.
probably hide in the bathroom and do all kinds of
Right.
weird things.
So Cody's trip was uneventful. But did Russell? Have you used it yourself?
No, just that one time going to the field.
Just the one time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what's also kind of nebulous is when you get to these spots, are you supposed to stay there? Are you supposed to look around? Are you supposed to?
If you watch the videos, you would assume that the minute you get there, a ghost comes out
Well,
of the.
see-
You get,
You see that night we went to the field, it took us to this field or through the cornfield or whatever.
it was weird.
And then there was a telephone pole, and that's exactly where it was pointing to. We was all thinking death and putting all of our energy into manifesting it. Sorry again.
it's fine.
It's storming outside, lightning and thunder.
It was a really.
We're not going to go up and touch this pole.
No, we ended up calling safety basically. I was trying to be the voice of reason. Russell and I were like, this is sketchy. We were dipping. We had to get out because it was getting ready to storm really bad, and Cody was running amok like he normally does without his child belt thing on that, like the little
harness.
The
Yes,
harness.
the harness.
I forgot to put it on before we got out of the truck.
Lane was falling behind.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Let's put it this way, man. You're military guys. It was not a good night to be on a ruck march. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this though. You keep saying, we keep talking about intention and energy, and I'm thinking about the energy. Of the death. What does that even mean though?
I don't know.
Because
what is that?
Because
What are you doing?
because the theory is, and you're familiar with chaos theory,
Yep.
correct?
No.
Okay,
I mean,
so-
my life is chaos.
You've
but
watched
besides
Jurassic Park, have you not?
Right. So chaos. There's a theory that it's not a theory. It's been proven that people can influence randomness with their minds. This has been scientifically proven. If people if people concentrate enough, they can influence random number generators. So the theory being that you're influencing this random number generator to
And let's take it back a step. Let's take it back many, many centuries for a minute. If we go way, way, way back, you look at your mystics, shamans, anybody maybe say that was influentially able to change chaos, or whatever the randomness of is. Those people would have been looked upon as great, powerful beings. I guess there's a connection I'm saying between what Mike is talking about, where it's proven that chaos theory can be, you can affect things with your mind. I think that's never changed, right? It just didn't start happening this year.
Right.
Well, let me just say this, and I'm glad that Mike brought this up because it's spurred. Spurred? Spurned.
Spurred.
Spurred.
Means like you're mad at someone.
You're
I'm
angry.
spurning
I'm
you.
not mad. I'm not mad at any of you.
You're a non-generous lover.
So let's talk about
you.
let's talk about two things quick. So I think the term randonautica, I think in and of itself, it means random number generator, right?
Correct.
That's,
Yes.
No,
what
well,
that means.
Quantum random generator.
Quantum. That's how you say it in New York. Quantum.
The quantum.
Hey, you quantum. Hey, you are. Anyway.
Quantum.
So it's a random number generator, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because I think there was an experiment, and it escapes me now, and I'm pissed off about this because I usually know this sort of stuff.
Okay.
But there was an experiment done by a number of very renowned and reputable universities across the United States. That
Stanford University, where did they get led by a military team and to retrieve a no can?
No.
No.
Nice.
Like what Mike was
sorry.
talking about. It was a random number generator that basically can recognize when very large historic things occur over the course of the world, essentially.
What?
So. Yes. So during September 11th, they had these random number generators that were going.
That's right.
And then when September 11th happened, when the terrorist attacks occurred, all of these computers across the world aligned.
Yeah.
What?
To basically say that this was happening at this particular moment.
It's I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like a collective
it's a collective consciousness
experiment.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
What
when he
are
says
you talking about?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've
When
never
he
heard
says
of that.
converge.
This happened. Yes.
Okay.
When he says converge, he doesn't mean like they all turn to like 0, 0, 0, 10, 9.
Yeah.
But basically, you can start to sense patterns in random numbers, and when, like Jay said, when something major happens, it's clear because you can see it. There's patterns. There's patterns that are emerging from in places where there shouldn't be.
So they were running these random number generators all across the United States, and then when
Why?
September 11th occurred, that was just an experiment that they were
experiment.
doing. They were running these things, and then when the terrorist attacks occurred, they all aligned in a certain way.
Unbeknownst, they weren't looking for the terrorist attack.
No,
they were not, and they just happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, we can delve a little bit further
That's
into that.
compelling.
I'm sorry that I can't.
No,
I'm sorry that I
no.
can't speak more intelligently.
You know what
upon
we
that,
should do?
but-
You know what we should do is we should collect ourselves on that and come back to it here in a few weeks and do another one of these joint podcasts and discuss that because that's really compelling, man. That kind of freaks me out.
I think that's all along the lines of what we're talking about right
Yes,
now.
and
I
that's
agree.
That's the theory, meaning that you can influence these random numbers, and that's why it's a thing.
Yeah, so there's this theory that everything in the universe is connected, right, on some level.
I
And
kind of
can't-
adhere to that, but
Yeah, I can't remember the exact term of the theory at this point in time because I'm looking at Brent and he's very handsome.
I am very handsome.
It's distracting me, but there's that theory that everything is connected on some level, right? So if one thing occurs on one side of the universe, it can affect something else on the other side,
Right.
That's sort of on the butterfly effect. Yeah, definitely.
or the butt plug effect too.
The butterfly effect was a great movie, wasn't it?
That was a
I
great
disagree.
movie.
You didn't like
I
it?
did not-
That was a
No,
I
great
did not
movie.
like that.
Did you see the
I hate
alternate
Ashton
ending?
Kutcher.
Did you see the alternate?
Yes.
You didn't like the alternate ending.
I would like to slap Austin Kutcher.
It's because you hate him, but was the story
Austin
bad?
Cuckold.
Yeah, he sucks.
Was the story bad or was the movie bad?
No, the concept is cool. He's just irritating.
Okay, then that
I
helps
didn't like
me.
the movie. The concept is cool, but I didn't
Okay,
like
okay.
I didn't like
We
it.
could
Any
have
case,
done it better on a budget.
Sure.
No, okay, so that really kind of blows my mind because I do believe the universe is completely connected, and I really want to dive into that now a little bit more because I think our minds are so powerful, and having something to focus on to channel that whatever that might be. I've kind of mentioned remote viewing. I don't know. You guys have kind of expressed some skepticism in your thoughts on remote viewing. I think it's pretty credible, but isn't that sort of the same thing, isn't it?
All right, so as far as I think we should probably get into more specifically about our Randonautica experiences, specifically.
You're slurring over there.
No. So anyway, of myself, and I will just give you this, I will preface it by saying that I'm very skeptical about this whole sort of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Because I think that anything that we do, anything that we generate, I think it's all just within our own minds. I think that it's the power of suggestion. I don't think that we're manifesting anything supernatural in that regard, right? So in preparation for this show, I was looking to spend a little quality time with my son. My son's 14. He's getting ready to go beyond to 15. He's starting to finally really discover his own body.
Oh my!
And things of that sort.
Oh my!
So I figured this would be a good. I figured this would be a good opportunity to kind of do something with him. A bonding experience, if you will.
Bondage experience.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to download the app. I'm going to manifest, or I'm going to do my intentions, as we say. And we're going to see where it goes. My son and I are going to go on an adventure, if you will.
If you will.
So I researched the app. I downloaded the app, which was fine. And here's my experience. You ready?
Ready.
Yes.
I opened the app.
Yes.
I gave it my intention. And my intention, I will say, because of previous conversations, I heard that one of you guys discovered a camel in the middle of the Midwest somewhere.
Oh,
so I was thinking,
okay.
All I could think of, I couldn't escape it from my brain,
was a camel.
Was an animal, like a strange animal. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a strange zoological animal. Okay. I got booted. Out of the app. Restart. So I had to relaunch. I relaunched the app again.
Okay.
Then it says it basically told me it encountered an error. It booted me out again. So 3 different occasions it booted me out of this app, not realizing that once you run out of free coins, you have to actually pay for this fucking thing.
You get free coins.
Excuse me, I dropped the F-bomb.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, geez.
But it pissed me off to the point where
we're corrupting you guys.
So I wasted 20 minutes of my life trying to
and got
try to come
nothing.
up with some sort of intention, and all it did was ask me for more money.
Yeah.
So I immediately uninstalled the app and said, "This is
you
complete
threw your phone.
bull crap." Is what I did. Yes.
Cody busted his phone one time here with a big piece of wrought iron laying in my yard.
Oh, God.
He threw his phone down and smashed it. Actually,
I
it was quite a traumatic experience.
Did that have anything to do with Randonautica?
No.
It did not.
No.
Not in the slightest bit. No reference whatsoever.
I was just
So,
mad.
so my take on it is this, if I could summarize quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's complete nonsense. It's an app created by some jamoke who was looking to capitalize. He can't even get the app to work properly.
Agreed.
And I was not going to give him any money, so I ended it there. That's it.
So what about this? I agree, but I also wonder, do you think the principles of the app could be enacted or work in and up without it? Does it make sense? If we're sitting around and saying, if I want to do the same thing, manifest a fun time with my son, will the universe, if I focus on anything and whatever,
No.
well, it won't.
No.
So what is it? You don't think the app does anything?
No. I think it randomly generates points, which is what it's supposed to do.
It's just an adventure.
It's an adventure. It is. Thank you, Cody. It is an adventure. You find GPS coordinates, you track it to wherever, and then you use the power of suggestion. Like, for example, if you were intentioning, if you thought of beef Wellington, oh, I love beef Wellington. And then it gave you coordinates, and you tracked it 7 miles into the tree line, and you found a beef Wellington. You'd be like, oh, look at this. This is great. I can have a free meal.
Beef Wellington, sir. I don't mind, bully. Oh.
So that's the point. I think it's all suggestion.
I get it, but okay. So what I'm a little, what I want to believe, and I want to believe, I think all of us do, and I don't know that I've ever had a supernatural experience or an alien encounter or anything like that, but you guys have messed with a Ouija board. Did you get any compelling evidence from that? Right? Like,
yeah. See, the thing is this. Okay, and
I'm going somewhere with that, but go ahead and please answer.
No. I know. I see where you're going. Go ahead. Continue.
Well, what I'm saying is that let's say it's not anything to do with anything, an app, a Ouija board, remote viewing, anything. It's really us. You almost I want to experiment and see, I guess, if you can accomplish the same thing without the app. Does that make sense a little bit?
Sure. And that you'd be kind of going old school with it, because
you'd almost have to, right?
Randonauting existed before Randonautica.
Yeah, and that was new to me.
Yeah.
So that's something that was existing before. People were going into random places, expecting to find things. This is just making it high tech, essentially.
That's kind of what I'm getting at, and I think there's correlation that if any of this turned out to be true, to some of the older techniques that people used to do the exact same thing a long time ago, kind of where I mentioned scrying and things like that earlier. I mean, how would you even validate something like this, though? That's kind of a question I want to ask.
Well, not only that, how do you validate, but also, Jay entered into this not believing it at all.
I agree.
And then nothing happened, so he really doesn't believe in it. So if he did go, and a lot of people say, like, if you want to see a ghost, you're going to see a ghost, or if you believe you're going to see a UFO, you'll see a UFO. Same thing may apply. If he knows, Jay is incredibly skeptical, doesn't believe it at all. So he's not going to see anything.
I would disagree with that because the reason that I decided, hey, listen, I'm actually going to do this. I went into it with an open mind. I downloaded the app.
Well,
with an open
can I
mind.
say? Let me interject real quick, and I don't want to
intersperse me. Yes.
So I tried to actually use the app too.
Okay.
And every time I tried to use the app, it asked me to validate my email, and I tried to validate my email and then log in. It wouldn't let me log in. When I finally could log in, I was out of money.
What does that tell you?
Well, I get
bullshit.
that. So I think it's weird. I'm sitting 5 feet away from a dude that the app worked for no problem.
All the time.
I'm a huge skeptic too, Jay.
Let's do this.
I'm more in your camp than you think. Well, but I do want to say that I think loosely you can tie some of what's happening with the phenomena of some people in Randonautica to other things that we probably all agree are capable in certain people.
I have a great idea. You ready for this? This just popped into my brain.
Oh God.
Let's not rely on other people. Let's not rely on technology. Let's do this. You ready?
Yeah.
So take a map, an actual physical map.
We've talked about this, have we not, Mike?
Hold on.
Okay.
You don't even know what I'm going to say.
Yes, I do, because
I talked about this. You don't even know what the hell I'm talking about.
No, I've intended this. My intention is there.
Take a map. Take a map of whatever location that you're in. Let's say...
Agreed. Yes.
Let's say Montana, because that's not where you are, but I'm just going to say. The state of Montana. Let's do this. Let's take a planchette. Do you know what a planchette is?
Oh, I do know what a planchette is.
Right? A planchette is something that you use on a Ouija board, right? So
it's a focus, in my opinion.
Instead of using a Ouija board, let's overlay the map over a Ouija board, essentially, right? And then use your intention to manipulate the planchette over the Ouija board to pick a random location on that specific map. That way, you're eliminating the
I'm going to add an element to that.
that.
I'm also going to add an element to that. You know, I'm a big. That's the fireball talking. Fireball.
Okay.
Fireball. But I want to administer sensory deprivation to the individual using.
Some people pay extra for that.
Yes, but
my aunt was deprived.
We've talked about our disbelief in spirit boxes. We think that's all effing bogus, right?
I do.
I do too. Cody doesn't, but
I agree with.
But let's just say this at least. Could we?
I'm disgusted.
Why?
The spirit boxes.
I'm disgusted because I'm looking up your cargo shorts.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Ew.
But could we not sensory deprivize a person also to add an element of not being interfered with by the environment, right? Like, add darkness, add
We
a
could
steady
put them in
tone.
a Faraday cage. Do you know what a Faraday cage is?
I don't. Is that like a queening box?
No, but
No.
that's coming.
Okay.
There's 3 left in stock.
Michael
three left in stock.
Faraday invented a
$5.95.
cage back in the 1830s, I believe.
Okay.
And what it is
Faraday
is
was an electrician, was he not?
Michael Faraday, and he experimented with. I think it's Michael. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But he experimented with a lot of electromagnetic frequencies, if you will. And he created like a cage. All right. So anyway, what I'm talking about is electromagnetic field generation and the ability to block that, right? So Faraday said, if you get into this metallic cage, you can be blocked from different frequencies and things of that sort, right?
For sure.
So Brent, let me ask you this question,
Yeah.
right? This is one of the great scientific myths of all time. If you're in a vehicle, they say that being in a vehicle is one of the safest places to be during a lightning storm. Why is that?
Well, they say that it's because you're insulated by the rubber of the tires, but I don't believe that.
That's good that you don't believe that.
It's good that you're skeptical of that.
Yeah.
Because Faraday
They
says,
debunked
no, that is... What's that, Cody? Go ahead.
They debunked that, the whole rubber tires and...
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. So the real reason is because you're in what they call, quote-unquote, a Faraday cage. right?
Correct.
Because you're in this insulated cage,
Yes.
so when the lightning strikes the top of the car, it basically goes around the outside of this structure of this cage and then gets dissipated into the ground around you.
So
Right.
real quick about Faraday, because I knew this because of that of this, but microfarads. Have you ever heard of those before?
Oh, well, that's related to
It
that.
is.
Yeah.
Faraday, yes. Some of you might not know, but I do some electrical work on the side. I fancy my.
In addition to modeling.
Yes.
Electrical dildos.
But Faraday, yes, that's amazing. The Faraday cage, microfarads. The dude was a genius, much like Tesla. On and on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so what is your point? You want to put him in a Faraday cage?
Yeah,
to
I
do
think
this?
that's what he's getting at.
I think that's kind of an interesting way to look at it, right?
So
Perfect.
we add a ball gag at some point.
Yes, well, but I'm not
And a
putting it
plug
on.
of some kind.
No, so we're comic book guys. Logan, we just talked about this on our last podcast, but Professor X was quarantined inside a Faraday cage, more or less. He was locked in this metal enclosure
Oh.
because his brain was near nuclear capability, if not controlled, and he had Alzheimer's. So, no,
Alzheimer's.
how do you say it?
That sounds like a kind of a beer.
Alzheimer's? Is that what
Do you say alt-timers or
It's Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's? There's a
Alzheimer's.
Z in there.
I don't know, man. I'm sorry, but you get my point. No,
Just say retard.
I can't. You can't say that.
I'm kidding.
You're gonna
I'm
get
kidding.
canceled. You're canceled.
I'll edit that out, Russell. I don't want to insult you.
EM Project canceled for saying that word. You cannot do that.
Jay's been drinking Knob
I
Creek
know,
steadily,
yes.
and this is
great.
going downhill.
Don't you worry, because this is going on live as a motherfucker on our side, so we won't tag you in it. But yeah, no. Let's wrap up here. But seriously,
Yeah, let's get to it.
seriously,
wrap.
I would like to do some testing of some of the things that the Randonautica app has, I guess, made me be more aware of. Maybe not necessarily the app itself. I think the app is an avant-garde kind of silly way to dabble in a bigger thing, which is that our minds are capable of maybe doing some more than we ever thought, right? I know that's spacey, but I like your idea, Jay, the planchette. Very cool. Mike and I talked about the map thing before. I think we developed some little tests and try some different experiments. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback on that quickly, I think because I didn't finish my thoughts.
Yeah,
on
I'm
that,
sorry.
but yeah, the planchette on the map, right? Instead of like drawing up coordinates or using an app, a third party person or program to kind of generate that location or locale would be to do it yourself, right? So you and Russell and Cody, you sit around, you rub on each other. You spread oil all over the place.
Oils and
braid
lotions.
beards.
You lay
Over here,
yeah,
we braid.
you lay a map down. You lay a map down. You take a planchette, and then you, all joking aside, you use it like you would as a Ouija board,
Yes,
right?
I agree with that.
Ouija boards can be used, and I don't know if any of you guys have used them before, but whether or not it's supernatural or not, I don't really know. I can't speak intelligently on that.
I think it's intention-based, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah, but just somebody who's used it before, when the planchette starts moving around, it seemingly moves on its own, right?
It really does.
Whether or not you're doing it or not, it feels like it actually is moving
Everybody
on its
thinks
own.
the other person's doing it.
Exactly. So to do that, and I don't know if anybody's ever done this before. It's possible that they have. To put
Well,
it
I
on
think
a map
we're clearly combining some really different techniques because we had talked about using sensory deprivation to get someone to just randomly point at a point on the map and see how close they get.
It's basically the same thing.
It is, but the planchette gives it a little bit more focus too.
Right.
So I like where we're going with this. I think we should develop it because there are some experiments here that I think would be fun to explore in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. So let's go around the board here to kind of like
Let's wrap up.
Wrap up everything. So
Yeah.
Cody, what are your thoughts basically on Randonautica as a thing in and of itself, and where would you like to see it go as far as what we're doing, going forward?
I think the whole thing is pretty much manifested on what you believe. So wherever we go, we might find what we're looking for, but I don't know. It's just a random coordinate generator. That's my take on it.
Gotcha. Okay. Russell, do you have some interesting thoughts on this whole thing? Where would you like to see this go?
I'm still kind of up in the air on whether it's believable, but I think I do believe people can put their energy into something to manifest itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll see. I'm all for adventures, so.
That's what's good about you is Russell's always the willing. Yeah, screw it, let's do it.
You know what? I think he summarized it perfectly when he said, "I'm all about adventures. I'm all."
He
for
really
adventures."
is. Yeah.
I like that aspect of it. Mike, go ahead. What do you think?
I think that I'm more interested in the technological aspects of it and whether it has anything to do with the Matrix, like we talked about then, and then also it's cool to go to places that you would never go. So that to me, that's exciting to do.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, absolutely. What about
Brent? Final thoughts?
Well, let me ask you. What do you think? You come into this kind of a big naysayer, man. I mean, I know you, but I think you're extremely open-minded to things, but you just don't really have zero belief in the Randonautica thing as the app. Do you think we can prove anything with what we're trying to do here? To satisfy you? Does that make sense?
You don't have to satisfy me. I mean, satisfy yourself and satisfy your groinal region.
like being satisfied.
I guess. But no, in all seriousness,
What would
I
it
think
take
it's a
for
matter
you
of-
to believe something like this worked?
Well, here's the thing. I think the lowest level of evidence is always anecdotal evidence, right?
Right,
It's always,
right.
oh, I think this or this happened. It's not. It has to be provable, right? It has
Repeatably,
to be,
at that.
It has to be repeatable
Yes,
scientifically
I agree.
to say, hey, this is something. Okay, so I've always been the person that's been open to trying new and interesting things, right?
Right.
To see kind of where it leads. But I do go into it with a skeptical point of view and a skeptical mind, because I think you have to go into it that way. Because if you go into it believing everything that you see or understand or believe, then there's no way out of that, right? I mean, it's always a matter of, I believe this, and I was out in my backyard, and I peed in the woods, and all of a sudden a leprechaun appeared, and it crawled into my butthole, and here we go.
Well, the truth is, I'm 100% in agreement with you, which is rare because I actually think the same thing. I think I'm very open-minded. I think with this, what I want to see is some repeatable proof of anything. At this point,
Sure.
anything repeatable that is outside the normal, for me, is going to be proof enough to pursue further. How's that?
Well, the problem with that, Brent, is that it by definition it's not repeatable.
I think it is because I think it's influenced by the individual person and not the random number generator, if that makes sense. I think the individual person is focusing their will and intent on whatever that object is, much like a magician might a focus item or whatever. I think you're pouring your intention into a planchette, a board, a crystal, an app, anything, and then you're manifesting it after the fact.
So I think the beauty of it is it's actually like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a sense that for I will disagree with Mike slightly in that if that makes any sense.
It does, yeah.
So he says, well, it's not repeatable because it's a random number generator. Well, to me, that makes it more repeatable, right?
Yes.
Because if you generate 10 different random numbers or random different coordinates, and then you're able to substantiate that by going to these locations and physically verifying your intentions and connecting
in a plausible manner
to what you find.
That's 100% subjective. It's not objectable. It's not objective.
Well, it depends.
In any sense.
It depends. And I'll go back to what Cody said before, which is, I thought about whatever, random animal thingy, and then I get there and there's a camel in the middle of the Midwest eating corn in a cornfield. You know what I mean? If you're able to substantiate that over a
multiple
course of time
times,
and say
multiple times,
10, 15 different
I'll start
20
believing it.
times.
I'm with you. I agree.
So I'm open-minded. As skeptical as I am, I'm open-minded.
No, I am too. I want to
that.
believe. I think we all do. I think there's simple things we can do like this based on something as hokey as Randonautica and say, okay, there's some principles here that need to be explored. And I feel like we're willing to explore it. We know you guys are. Is it fair enough to assume we should come up with some, at a later date we can update folks, but for now,
and I think it's interesting. I think the main thing is too, like I think we all discover and understand that camel toes are because we want to find camels and we want to find camel toes. So those are interesting as well. Yeah.
Hey, before we end, can I actually give the correct email address?
Well, sure. I think I've got it a couple times on.
You've got it. Why don't you try?
It's hermitlight.com.
Yes, congratulations.
And it's the guys at Hermitlight.
The guys at hermitlight.com.
Right.
Yes.
You have to add the .com or else it won't go.
That's true.
So I think you got to do that.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is, and I know that
I smoke too much herb.
I think this is obviously this is a recorded session, so people that are listening to this are not going to be able to catch it live. But I think we have some things that we want to promote as well. We have some films that are coming and that are going, and things that we've been working on too that we want to go for. So Brent, why don't you?
Well, we talked about that in the beginning of ours, but we'll hit on it again. We're not shameless, but we're working on a film right now called Sigillum. If you check us out on Facebook, it's really easy to find us. It's Hermit Light Media, right, on Facebook. That's what always.
It's Hermit Light Media.
Yeah, that's what always messes me up. But if you go to our website, it's hermitlight.com. And same thing with our email, the guys at hermitlight.com. See, I got it right.
Yep. You got it right.
But give us feedback on our podcasts, the Eon Project and the Block Lodge. We've been friends for a really long time. We're separated by hundreds of miles, but we work on stuff all the time. We have a film coming out here, short film, right, Mike? Unsound.
Yeah, in about 45 minutes.
Yep, it's on Facebook. If you
It'll be on Facebook and YouTube.
You can still catch it later. You'll be able to go back to our YouTube page because it'll be live on there from now on, right?
Yep, it's going to be accessible starting 8 o'clock tonight, and then anytime somebody wants to watch it, it'll be there.
Give us
Brent,
feedback.
why don't you talk a little bit about what that is, and so people understand what's going on
it's a short film that Cody and I directed. Mike wrote. We kind of all worked on it together, but it deals a lot with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress disorder, veterans' mental health awareness, that kind of thing. We've tried to touch on things that are important to us. We're all veterans, and we share the Brotherhood of the Marine Corps. But in our company, we work a lot with other veterans, and gosh, we had a bunch of them on set not long ago, right? I mean,
yeah, we had a good time. The Sigillum's got a bunch of veteran actors in it,
absolutely,
which is cool.
And
and then this film Unsound actually was just come out of the festival circuit,
did,
if you will.
Yep,
but got some official selections.
It did.
I was semi-finalist in one.
I was pleased by that.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it was we appreciate you checking it out and give us your feedback on it, or not.
Unless it's bad, then don't give us bad feedback.
Yeah, I mean,
don't do that.
You can message me if it's bad. I'll work on my next film a little better. So, but yeah, check us out, guys. Appreciate us. Share us. You know what? A real big thing that's super, super important is wherever you're listening to us, give us a like or give us a 5-star rating, whatever it is on your platform. It really, really only takes a second. Please do that for us because it gives us an opportunity to keep going forward.
It helps people find it helps people find the shows and
it
of shows. So
yeah, and share us with other folks if there's
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Obviously,
no, you're good, man.
Technology's confusing sometimes.
Wow, we just came back on video too. That's amazing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it took a second. I just realized there was a little button here. But anyway, so Brent, thank you from the Black Lodge.
Yeah,
we appreciate
thanks, guys.
it. Cody, I see you there, buddy. Good job.
Good job, Russell.
And Russell, hey, peace to
and
you.
Hey, you guys from the Black Lodge, we appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in, and we had the AM Project with us tonight, guys. Thanks a lot.
Take it easy. Love you.
Now.
See you guys. All right, Mike, and so that's the end of the program. There, we did a joint program with the boys from the Black Lodge, which was Brent, Cody, and Russell. And we talked a lot about a bunch of interesting things there, and take from it what you will.
Yes, and you didn't let me talk about my randonauting experience, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what just happened there, but there was a lot of technological difficulties, and things happen as they will. So I appreciate everyone listening, and hopefully you can catch us there soon enough. Mike, do you have any parting thoughts for us?
Check us out at hermitlight.com, and you can reach us at theguys@hermitlight.com.
Absolutely. And just remember, the truth exists, but